Scottie Pippen, six-time NBA champion, seven-time All-Star, Hall of Famer. Known as the silent hero beside Michael Jordan, he carried Chicago on his shoulders more than most will ever realize. But not every triumph glowed in the spotlight. Behind the rings and records, there were nights of quiet struggle, moments when fame couldn't erase the pressure, and victories that felt hollow. Some say the world only saw his moves on the court, never the battles he fought off it, the choices, the regrets, the sacrifices hidden from fans. Even as he celebrated legendary moments, a different story lingered in shadows, a story that few dared to tell. Tonight, we go beyond the highlights, beyond the cheers, and into the heartbreaks that shaped Scottie Pippen's life. Stay with us as we reveal the truth behind the legend. Early struggles. Scottie Pippen's story begins in Hamburg, Arkansas, a small town where life was harsh and survival was never guaranteed. Born into a family of 12 children, his childhood home was barely more than a wooden shack, its walls thin and fragile, letting in the piercing winter winds that cut through the family's meager belongings. Hunger was a constant companion. Many nights, Scottie and his siblings went to bed with empty stomachs, wondering if the next day would bring enough to eat. His father, Preston Pippen, had suffered a severe stroke, leaving one side of his body paralyzed, unable to provide or protect the family the way he once could. His older brother, Ronnie, became disabled for life, confined to a wheelchair. The weight of illness and misfortune pressed down on the family, creating an environment where childhood innocence was scarce. Amid all this, Scottie watched his mother, Ethel, struggle tirelessly. She worked multiple jobs, washing, cooking, cleaning for others, yet there was never enough to make life comfortable for her children. Her hands were rough and calloused from labor, her shoulders bent with the burden of responsibility. Still, she faced each day with quiet strength, masking exhaustion with determination, never allowing the children to see her break. For Scottie, this was both inspiration and reality, a constant reminder that life demanded strength and courage far beyond his years. Despite the poverty, Scottie found small ways to survive. He learned to make do with what little he had, wearing oversized clothes handed down from older siblings, patching shoes, and bracing himself against the bitter winters. School was another battlefield. While classmates had shoes, books, and other small privileges, Scottie had nothing. Even basic supplies were luxuries he could rarely afford. Yet, within that emptiness, a fire began to grow, a quiet determination to rise above circumstance, to carve out a life that was bigger than the narrow walls of his home. Every rejection, every cold night, every pang of hunger became fuel for his spirit. The neighborhood offered little escape. While other children played freely, Scottie often had to watch from the sidelines, barefoot or with worn shoes, knowing that even play was a privilege he could not afford. Dreams were dangerous, they could hurt if left unfulfilled. Yet, deep inside, he began imagining a life where he was seen, where effort could overcome the circumstances he was born into. Early on, Scottie learned a truth many children never understand. Dreams weren't given, they were earned, and sometimes only through relentless struggle. By the time he reached adolescence, Scottie's body and mind were already forged in hardship. Poverty, illness, and deprivation had left scars, but they had also built resilience. The boy who had nothing slowly began to realize that his path would be different, shaped not by comfort or luck, but by determination, courage, and a relentless desire to survive. Every night, as he lay awake listening to his father's labored breathing or his mother's weary footsteps, A quiet resolve grew inside him. He would not be invisible. He would not be ignored. And he would someday rise far beyond the limits that life had tried to impose. Rising against rejection. As Scottie Pippen grew taller and stronger, the world still seemed determined to overlook him. His natural talent was beginning to show, but doors remained closed. Colleges passed him by, coaches shook their heads, and scholarship offers that others took for granted never came. For a boy who had fought to survive childhood hunger and illness, this kind of rejection was another harsh lesson in the unfairness of life. It would have been easy to feel invisible, to accept that he didn't belong. But Scottie refused to let rejection define him. Every task, no matter how small or menial, became a way to prove himself not to the coaches, not to the world, but to himself. While other students ran drills, laughed with teammates, and were cheered on, Scottie watched. He memorized plays, studied movements, and learned how a team truly operated. The humiliation of being overlooked could have crushed him, but instead, it became fuel. Every empty glance, every ignored effort pushed him to work harder, to endure more, and to dream bigger. Even late into the night, long after others had left the gym, Scottie stayed behind. He polished floors, wiped benches, and then practiced alone in the empty gym. Every shot, every dribble, every movement was a quiet rebellion against a world that hadn't given him a chance. Slowly, the coaches began to notice. At first, only small moments, a longer reach, a smarter pass, a faster reaction, but soon it became clear. This boy who had started as a shadow on the sidelines was learning to become a force to be reckoned with. Scottie's body, once thin and unnoticed, began to transform. He grew taller, his wingspan extended, and his athleticism improved dramatically. Yet it wasn't luck or magic. It was years of discipline, hunger, and determination. Every rejection, every slight, every moment of being invisible shaped him into a player who understood that nothing would be given without effort. Humiliation became his motivation, and rejection became his teacher. By the end of his time at UCA, Scottie had grown not just physically, but mentally. He had learned patience, resilience, and the importance of preparation. Coaches saw not only a talented player, but a man with a heart forged in struggle, someone who could endure challenges far beyond what others faced. Scottie's rise was quiet at first, but it was unstoppable. The seeds of determination planted in the shadows of rejection were about to bloom, setting the stage for the legendary career that awaited him. NBA challenges. When Scottie Pippen finally made it to the NBA, it was not the fairy tale ending most imagined. Drafted by the Chicago Bulls, he entered a world of fame, fast-paced games, and bright lights, but also a world filled with new pressures and challenges. He was stepping into the shadow of Michael Jordan, the superstar whose talent and charisma commanded attention wherever he went. Many fans and media outlets saw Scottie as just the sidekick, someone who supported the team but did not shine on his own. Even with his unique skills, Scottie's contributions were often underestimated. He faced criticism for not always scoring the points the crowd wanted, for passing instead of shooting, and for playing a game built on teamwork rather than individual glory. His rookie contract reflected the harsh reality of the league, a humiliatingly low salary that did not match the talent and value he brought to the team. The media often overlooked his defensive genius, his unselfish play, and his tireless work ethic. They focused on the flashy moments of others, leaving Scottie's quiet excellence almost invisible. Yet, on the hardwood, Scottie Pippen proved he was anything but invisible. His defensive skills became legendary, stopping top scorers, reading opponents' plays, and guarding multiple positions. His ability to handle the ball and orchestrate the offense allowed him to act as a secondary point guard, creating opportunities for his teammates. He was the perfect complement to Michael Jordan, providing balance, strategy, and sacrifice that made championships possible. Every steal, block, and assist became a silent declaration that Scottie Pippen was more than just a supporting player. He was a cornerstone of the Bulls dynasty. Despite his on-court success, personal life challenges continued to weigh heavily. He faced broken marriages and strained relationships, as the pressures of fame and constant travel left little time for family. Friends drifted away, unable to understand the sacrifices required at the highest level of basketball. The heartbreak that struck deepest was the loss of his son, Antron, a wound that no championship could heal. Behind every roar from the crowd, there were nights of grief and private suffering that the world would never see. Fame could not protect him from the pain life had dealt. Scottie's resilience was tested further as he confronted the business side of the NBA. Contract disputes, negotiations, and the feeling of being undervalued challenged his patience and mental strength. While he worked tirelessly on the court, the off-court battles often went unnoticed. But for Scottie, each obstacle became fuel. Every slight, every moment of being overlooked reminded him of the hunger and determination that had carried him through poverty, rejection, and hardship. He learned to channel frustration into performance, turning criticism into motivation. Over time, Scottie Pippen's quiet determination transformed him into one of the most complete players the league had ever seen. He became a 7-time All-Star, earned multiple defensive honors, and helped the Bulls claim 6 NBA championships. Yet, the world that celebrated these victories never fully grasped the emotional and mental battles that had shaped him. The scars from childhood, the weight of rejection, and the losses in his personal life were all part of the man who silently changed the game. Scottie's story in the NBA was not just about triumph. It was about perseverance, sacrifice, and the courage to rise, even when the world underestimated him. Even in the peak of glory, Scottie Pippen remained the silent hero, the one whose hard work, intelligence, and heart kept the Bulls at the top. His life in the NBA was a constant balance of triumph and struggle, visible success and hidden pain. And through it all, the boy from Hamburg, Arkansas, who had once stood outside the game as a shadow, had become a legend. Legacy of resilience. Scottie Pippen's legacy is more than the 6 NBA championships, 7 All-Star appearances, and countless defensive honors. It is a story of quiet strength, perseverance, and the courage to keep rising despite life's harshest challenges. From a boy who grew up barefoot in a fragile shack in Hamburg, Arkansas, he became a man whose dedication changed the very way basketball is played. Many remember him as the sidekick to Michael Jordan, but those who truly understand the game know that Scottie was the glue, the player who made the superstar shine brighter and the team stronger. His defensive prowess, court awareness, and selfless play set a new standard for what it means to be a complete player. The path to this legacy was far from easy. Poverty, family hardships, and personal loss shaped Scottie into someone who would never quit, no matter how impossible the circumstances seemed. Each rejection in college, every overlooked effort, and every moment he was underestimated reinforced a quiet determination. He learned early that greatness was not given. It was earned through sacrifice, focus, and relentless effort. While other players may have relied solely on talent, Scottie built resilience in every moment of struggle, in every hour of silent practice, and in every challenge life placed before him. Off the court, Scottie faced struggles that most fans would never imagine. Broken relationships, the death of loved ones, and the pressures of fame tested his spirit. The loss of his son, Antron, was perhaps the deepest wound, a reminder that no amount of basketball success could shield him from life's heartbreaks. Yet, he continued to persevere. His ability to carry pain silently, to keep performing at the highest level while facing personal tragedy, is a testament to the depth of his character. This is the resilience that fans often overlook, the invisible battles that shape true champions. Scottie's influence extended beyond championships and statistics. He became a role model for future generations, demonstrating that hard work, intelligence, and unselfishness define greatness as much as scoring points or winning titles. He reshaped the position of small forward, showing that a complete player could dominate both ends of the court. His impact is still felt today in the NBA as teams seek players who can defend, pass, and contribute to winning without needing constant praise. Perhaps the most powerful part of Scottie's legacy is the lesson it carries about life itself. True strength is not measured by how many awards or titles you earn, but by how you endure struggles, rise from setbacks, and keep moving forward. He became a hero not just for the crowds cheering in Chicago or across the world, but for anyone who has faced adversity and refused to give up. His life is proof that resilience is built quietly, in shadows, long before the world ever applauds. Even now, years after his NBA career ended, Scottie Pippen's story continues to inspire. His legacy is a reminder that behind every celebrated moment, there is a history of struggle, sacrifice, and silent determination. A history that made Scottie Pippen one of the most complete, resilient, and remarkable players the world has ever known. Lessons from a life Scottie. Pippen's life teaches lessons far beyond basketball. Every hardship, every moment of rejection, and every heartbreak shaped a man who became not only a legendary athlete, but also an example of resilience, courage, and perseverance. From his earliest days in Hamburg, Arkansas, to the grand stages of the NBA, Scottie faced challenges that would have defeated most people. Poverty, family illness, personal loss, and public criticism became the foundation of a strength that was quiet but unshakable. His story shows that true greatness is built in struggle, and that talent alone is never enough without determination and heart. One of the most important lessons from Scottie's journey is the value of patience and persistence. As a child, he learned that life rarely gives opportunities easily. Hunger, cold, and lack of resources forced him to fight for every small step. He had to work in silence, cleaning lockers, retrieving balls, and watching others play while he waited for a chance. These early experiences taught him that success requires endurance and a willingness to do the work no one else sees. Scottie also demonstrates the power of resilience in the face of personal tragedy. Life continued to test him even as he reached the pinnacle of his career. Broken marriages, distant friends, and the devastating loss of his son, Antron, reminded him that no level of fame or accomplishment could shield him from pain. Yet, he continued to perform, to show up for his team, and to dedicate himself fully to the game he loved. His ability to keep going, to maintain focus and integrity despite inner struggles, offers a lesson in how to face life's toughest moments with courage and determination. Another key lesson from Scottie Pippen's life is the importance of teamwork and selflessness. On the court, he never sought the spotlight for himself, even when he deserved it. He understood that the success of the team depended on every player doing their part. His defense, passing, and strategic plays allowed others, like Michael Jordan, to shine. But without his quiet contributions, the victories would not have been possible. In life, too, Scottie's example reminds us that humility and cooperation often create the most meaningful impact, even if the world doesn't always notice. Finally, Scottie's story shows that setbacks are not the end, they are opportunities to grow stronger. Every rejection, injury, or challenge became fuel for improvement. He transformed adversity into motivation, using disappointment to sharpen his skills, strengthen his mindset, and redefine his potential. This lesson is universal. While life may place obstacles in our path, persistence, courage, and a strong work ethic can turn those obstacles into stepping stones toward success. Scottie Pippen's journey is a testament to the power of resilience. From a childhood of poverty, family struggles, and heartbreak to becoming one of the most celebrated figures in basketball, he showed the world what it means to fight silently, to persevere against all odds. His achievements on the court are legendary, but it is the trials off the court that reveal his true character. Each setback, every moment of pain, shaped the man behind the rings, the statistics, and the fame. If his story inspires you, remember that the strength to overcome is within everyone. Scottie's life teaches us that even when circumstances seem impossible, dedication, courage, and heart can create greatness. If you want to explore more untold stories and deep journeys of legends, make sure to subscribe, comment your thoughts, and stay with us for the next chapter. The truth behind the struggle is always worth knowing.